Take a moment and think about the last time you really looked into someone's eyes. Maybe they were deep brown, almost black in certain lighting. Maybe they were bright blue, gray like a cloudy sky, or even green with golden flecks. Eye color is such a small detail, yet it's one of the first things we notice about someone. But why do people have different colored eyes in the first place? Why are brown eyes so common around the world, while blue and green eyes are rarer? And what about those people whose eyes seem to change color depending on the light, or who have two different colored eyes entirely? Today we're diving into the science, history, and genetics behind why do people have different colored eyes? And as simple as it sounds, the answer isn't just about pigment. It's a fascinating mix of biology, evolution, and even a bit of randomness. So let's get into it, right here, on History of Simple Things. At the core of eye color is a pigment called melanin. This is the same pigment that determines the color of your skin and hair. The more melanin you have, the darker those features tend to be. Inside your eye, there's a structure called the iris, the colored ring that surrounds your pupil. The iris contains melanin, and the amount of melanin stored there plays a huge role in determining eye color. If your iris has a lot of melanin, your eyes will most likely be brown. If it has less melanin, your eyes may appear green, gray, or blue. Here's the interesting part. Blue eyes don't actually contain blue pigment. There's no blue dye in the iris. Instead, blue eyes happen because of the way light scatters inside the iris when there's very little melanin present. It's similar to why the sky appears blue. The color is more about physics than pigment. So in a way, eye color is partly about how much pigment you have, and partly about how light interacts with your eye. Globally, brown eyes are by far the most common eye color. The majority of people in regions like Africa, Asia, and South America have brown eyes. From an evolutionary standpoint, this makes sense. Early humans evolved in areas with intense sunlight, especially near the equator. Higher melanin levels in the iris help protect the eyes from strong ultraviolet (UV) radiation. Just like darker skin provides more protection against sun damage, darker eyes may offer a similar advantage. Over time, populations that lived in sunny regions maintained higher melanin levels, leading to darker eye colors being more common in those areas. So brown eyes aren't just common by chance. They may have been a biological advantage in certain environments. Blue eyes are much rarer, and they're most common in people with European ancestry, particularly in Northern and Eastern Europe. Scientists believe that blue eyes trace back to a single genetic mutation that occurred thousands of years ago. This mutation affected how melanin was produced in the iris, reducing the amount significantly. One gene that plays a major role in eye color is called OCA2. Another nearby gene, HERK2, helps regulate it. Variations in these genes influence how much melanin ends up in your iris. When a certain mutation reduces melanin production, the iris contains very little pigment. That's when light scattering creates the appearance of blue. Some researchers even suggest that all blue-eyed individuals today may share a distant common ancestor who first carried this mutation. Imagine that. Millions of people connected by one tiny genetic change. Between brown and blue, there's a whole spectrum of eye colors that can look almost magical in certain lighting. Green eyes are among the rarest worldwide. They contain slightly more melanin than blue eyes, but much less than brown. The combination of low melanin and the way light scatters creates that green appearance. Hazel eyes are particularly interesting because they often look different depending on the lighting or what the person is wearing. They typically contain a mix of brown and green tones. This happens when there's a moderate amount of melanin, unevenly distributed in the iris. Gray eyes are similar to blue eyes, but with a slightly different structural arrangement in the iris that affects how light scatters. The result is a softer, smoky tone rather than bright blue. The key takeaway? Eye color isn't a simple category. It's more like a gradient influenced by pigment levels and the physics of light. You may have heard the old rule: if two brown-eyed parents have a child, the baby will have brown eyes. If two blue-eyed parents have a child, the baby will have blue eyes. But real genetics is far more complicated than that. Eye color is influenced by multiple genes, not just one. While OCA2 and HERC2 are major players, several other genes contribute to how much melanin is produced and how it's distributed. That's why two brown-eyed parents can sometimes have a blue-eyed child. If both parents carry recessive gene variations linked to lower melanin production, those traits can combine in their child. Genetics is less like flipping a simple switch and more like mixing paint. Different combinations can create unexpected shades. Many babies are born with blue or gray eyes, even if they eventually develop brown eyes later on. Why does this happen? At birth, melanin production in the iris is often still low. As the baby grows and is exposed to light, melanin production can increase. Over the first several months, or even up to a year, the eye color may gradually darken. This is why some parents are surprised when their blue-eyed newborn slowly develops brown or hazel eyes. It's not random, it's simply the body adjusting melanin levels over time. Once melanin production stabilizes, eye color usually remains permanent. So the next time you look into someone's eyes, remember, that color isn't just a shade. It's the result of thousands of years of evolution, a handful of genetic instructions, and the remarkable way light interacts with living tissue. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.